about 14 minutes from now. The government has shut down cell phone usage, Twitter. Social networking has been a key way that organizers have put together these protests, and a key government opposition leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner is said to be under house arrest. But clearly, the military moving in, a sign of just how concerned Hosni Mubarak is after 30 years of ruling Egypt, a key ally for the United States in the Middle East. Let's bring back our company now. Republican strategist Boris Epstein, Politico's Casey Hunt, and founder of the New Democrat Network, Simon Rosenberg. Simon, let's take a look at those developments now, where you have the military moving in, a curfew, you have the shutdown of social networking sites, you have a government opposition leader under house arrest. What does it tell you about what's going on there?
Well, I think I really respect Secretary Cohen's remarks, but I disagree a little bit. Is that I think that part of the balancing act that we have to, that the government has to do now, our government has to do now, is to make sure that we're clearly on the side of the people of Egypt who are trying to fend off one of the most repressive and brutal dictatorships in the entire world, who is now for the first modern government to shut down all of the internet in modern history. I mean, these are folks who are not just fighting for religious freedom, but just a basic middle-class way of life, which has not been offered by the brutal regimes in the Middle East. And I think this is why you're seeing this spread throughout the entire region, is that the dictatorial governments of the Middle East and North Africa are not providing for everyday people. And until that is addressed, we're going to continue to see this. Do you recognize
this point, Simon, from the U.S. point of view, that this being a key ally, this having brought some stability to the Middle East, they do have a treaty in place with Israel. The concern about
stable? Are we seeing stability though now, Chris? I mean, what you're seeing is the way the government has been treating their people is creating instability, and I think that's what we are going to. I think this has been what's been unleashed. The dynamic now in the Middle East is not going to be put back in the bottle by a bunch of military officers shooting at people.
I think you're forgetting some recent history there, Simon, and looking back to the Bush presidency, where President Bush, I think, naively supported the Palestinian elections in Lebanon. And what we saw is Hamas in Palestine and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Now, if here we see a non-secular government come to rest, and instead of what we're seeing now, where it started as almost secular uprising, and now we're seeing it go much more religious, it seems much more likely that there will be an Islamic government even than it did this morning. So that's something very troubling.
Let me go to Casey, because Casey, one of the questions obviously we have right now is what's going on inside the White House. What can you tell us?
Sure. Well, I mean, the last thing that Obama said last night in a YouTube interview was that violence is really not the answer on either side. So that's clearly where their focus is now. I mean, they are in a really, really tough spot between Mubarak and these protesters. On the one hand, how do you not support those folks out on the street who are advocating for more democracy, a more transparent process? But on the other hand, Mubarak, as they were both just saying, has kept the peace for about 30 years. I do think they are going to get into a thorny religious issue, though. If what Richard reported, that the Muslim Brotherhood is involved, that could cause some problems considering the history of that organization and how they came to be in Egypt. They were a very prominent Islamic society, several decades ago. They've evolved to a broader role in society.
I've got to go do my radio.
All right. Michael Smerconish, I think I hear you there, so let me get you in there really quickly for your thoughts on what's happening right now in Cairo and throughout Egypt.
I'm concerned about Richard's report and the potential for the Islamatization of this. It seems like it may extend far beyond Egypt. And most importantly is that alliance, or at least peace treaty with Israel. Whomever replaces Mubarak, it concerns me. Are they going to be as willing to deal with Israel as what we've had so far? That's the chief issue.
And that was the question that Secretary Cohen raised. Who will be, if it's not Hosni Mubarak, who will lead Egypt? A fast developing situation as the violence escalates on the streets of major cities throughout Egypt. We're going to continue to watch it for you. Boris, Casey, Simon, Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
I thought it would be fun, so I went on Ancestry.com, and this little leaf gave me a hint, and that led me to another leaf and another hint. I was like the family detective. Then I found out that one of my ancestors actually was a detective. So I'm like the other family detective.
Visit Ancestry.com and discover the world's largest online family history resource.
You don't have to know what you're looking for. You just have to start looking.
Your discovery starts right now on Ancestry.com.
Trouble, 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 trouble. Trouble, bad dog in my soul.